Hello, and welcome back to another episode of our Chaotic Ordinary campaign. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and thank you for all of our repeat followers. See a couple people in chat today that I recognize. As always, let's introduce our wonderful cast we have here today.
Hi, I'm Cass. I play Fenrick, a Firbolg barbarian.
I'm Luny, I'm the tiefling bard of the group, and I really don't want to be in the same room as the king right now.
My name is Eric. I play Till, who is not super happy that he's in another murder investigation. This happens way too often.
Hi, I'm Matt. I play Vol. Things are going pretty well right now, and let's keep them that way.
Going pretty well right now. You have a very interesting definition of that there, Vol.
Look, no one's dying. I'm not trying to save an entire encampment of bandits from their killing themselves.
Someone's already dead. You guys literally found a corpse on the steps of the castle.
Yeah, but it wasn't our corpse.
Oh, I didn't do that, and there was nothing I could do about it, so...
Now I'm just imagining when someone dies, Volk gets like a huge sigh of relief. He's like, finally, I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Look, nature has taken its course. It's not my responsibility.
Oh my god. Well, anyways. So, quick recap of what we went through, not last week, but last episode. Our players found themselves waking up on the riverbank after escaping the exploding bandit camp. They had a final tussle with with Fenrick, the bandit leader, subdued him and brought him back into the city. They went back to the Heron's Flight Tavern, met with Gavin, who had already set up a celebratory party for them, played some games, had some fun, and in that next morning, they were informed that there was a situation at the castle, to which they went up to the steps, found a corpse with a note on it, saying that the bandit leader that they just captured was in fact the crown prince of the neighboring nation of Doln, and that they are considering this an act of war. So, with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and open the castle doors here, ones that are not a facade anymore. We actually have an interior to the castle. I promise. So the party, you are led into the castle by the guard who had led you here. Once you get in, you see quite a few soldiers and guards in formation around the entry hall. Everyone seems to have an air of anxiety around them and stress. Seems like they're all just waiting on orders on what to do.
Should we roll dexterity to step over the corpse?
You know, if you feel like you might have to, go ahead.
Fenrick got in their head about it.
Yeah, I'm good.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I feel like that's like one of those, if you have to ask the price, you can't afford it kind of thing. Like, if you have to ask if you need to roll a dex save, you probably do.
That's funny. I like that.
I mean, it's an active murder scene. We probably shouldn't be disturbing the body.
I don't know. We've seen enough rogue cop shows. Actual proper protocol goes out the window. Come on.
Wait, there's protocol?
I don't know. You guys are new to this nation. It could be anything for as far as you know.
Yeah, Till wouldn't really care either way.
Vol's not equipped to deal with this.
I'm not new to this nation.
That is true.
You tell us what we should be doing. Should we be tripping over corpses?
I am definitely trying to make myself as small as possible as I let you all go forward.
So the guard that led you guys in kind of like looks back to you and beckons you forward as he heads across the hall.
Out of character, this castle looks really cool.
Let us thank Cass for that, actually. Cass did most of the decorating in here.
Oh god.
Let me get some views of this. Okay.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Gotta play repairman real quick.
There we go.
There's a hole in the floor.
I fell off the stairs.
For all the viewers, this is the entry room into a castle. I feel like this is a proper entry room too. I love these columns.
Thank you. I tried.
I would put these columns in my house if I was that rich.
Right? Fire and all. Just giant gold pillars full of fire. It's classy that way.
Just
All right.
up these stairs.
Mr. Guard person, where are we going?
He opens up the door in front of him and steps out off to the side to allow you guys in. He says it's directly across the hall. The king requested to see you in private.
I'm gonna knock.
You hear a voice from across the way. Seems tired. Just says, "Come in, come in." The doors seem to open of their own volition.
Ooh, fancy. Ooh. Cameraman
I
is
enter.
not doing it.
Oh no!
It's not loud. Can't go in.
Here, I got it.
Thank you, Tailspire. This dramatic entrance went up without a
Teleport.
hitch.
You have to be true of heart to pass through the door.
I dramatically enter through the invisible barrier.
Let me just misty step over here.
Beautiful.
Come in, if you can.
So as you guys walk in, you see a middle-aged elf standing there, well-dressed, very simple circlet across his brow, looking tired. As he just kind of looks up to you guys from a few papers in his hands and says, "Ah, you've made it. Thank you for finally showing up." And he kind of like waves his hand and the doors behind you close. There's a lot for us to discuss. I'm sure you have plenty of questions for me, as I have for you. And then he just kind of like beckons you towards the back of the room as he heads back and sits down on the leftmost throne.
Oh, frick, paddywhack. I don't know what happened.
Are you guys still stuck on that barrier?
No, I clicked on a different character and then was them for a second.
That's called role-playing.
I was just using my change shape ability.
So he folds the pages he has in his hand and sets them to the side and kind of steeples his fingers as he looks at you and says, "So, we seem to have found ourselves in a bit of a delicate situation with our neighbors. I understand that what you guys did with the bandit camp was noble, and I do thank you for it. There were unforeseen consequences that I don't blame you for, but in the end is a bit of your responsibility, so..."
Wait, hold up. So they send their crown prince over to this nation to lead raids on it, and that's not an act of war, but we stop them and that's an act of war?
Hey, Till,
That's
I
way
know this
backwards.
is not the point here, but like, isn't he like in charge? Is there like a title situation going on here?
Guy seems kind of awful, not gonna lie.
The
Yeah.
king?
He kind of chuckles at the commentary of him being awful and says, from my experience with their royal family, that is probably not far from the mark. It is definitely an act of war on their side, but I guess I should fill you in on a little bit of context here. Us and Doln have been strained politically for quite a long time now. And one of the main reasons we have kept the peace as such is unfortunately, Altera is not prepared for a war with Doln. Doln is a very militaristic nation, whereas they haven't been in an active conflict in centuries, but it's so ingrained in their culture that they are prepared, and unfortunately, we are not. We're a trade city. We have a city-state here with outlying hamlets. We are not a unified nation. If Doln does decide to press this conflict, we're going to be in trouble.
Vol's gonna raise his hand.
He kind of waves his hand at you to, beckon you to say what you wish, I guess.
Mr. King Lordship, sir, what if we just sent the prince back and the soldiers that they came with?
Not that we have them or anything. This is just hypothetical.
But, what if we were able to return them unharmed and everyone was happy?
I thought the usual answer to conflict between nations was to just marry your kids off to each other.
Yeah. Have you thought about sex being the answer?
I am not marrying him, by the way. That's not an option.
He chuckles.
Oh, well, why not? Sorry.
As much as I wish these that these would be an answer to our situation, unfortunately, not so much. The royal line of Altera is split between two families, and neither have decided to subject their kin to that in many generations. Doln does have a familial tie with our two families as of generations ago, but with the political strains, it has not been much of a unifying fact. The blood ties are so distant at this point they practically don't matter. And as for sending the prince back, I believe we are a little past that point. I think from the reports I've heard, there isn't much of the bandit camp left.
Yeah, good point. He's probably dead.
I mean,
I haven't been back to it, but I'd say that it's still technically there.
I was thinking theoretically, if we found him and he was happy and in one piece and we just sent him back, think that would fix anything?
I guess that's a possibility, but I wouldn't stake my nation on it. There are a lot of moving parts here, and I think I might have a solution that you all might be able to help me with, though.
If you had a solution, why do you need us?
I think we're the part of that solution.
Oh,
You are definitely part of the solution. Are you guys familiar with the history of this nation and how we came to be founded?
not in the slightest.
Vol just looks around at everybody and just kind of shrugs.
I'm just leaned up against Finn's back.
Luny, go ahead and make a deception or a stealth, either way.
Okay. Let's see, which one do I want to make? It's the same roll either way. I'll make a deception because it's charisma.
All right.
Interesting.
Ah.
I got the same roll in D&D Beyond.
It was meant to be.
It was.
So, you feel like you might not be, in an empty room with only 5 people in it. You don't quite feel as inconspicuous as you want to be in this situation.
I'm just assuming with all of the things, they've been saying, that I'm just muttering to myself. So I'm definitely, noticed behind Finn.
All right, beautiful. So,
I'm gonna try and act as big as I can.
So the king kind of nods and says, "Well, that's understandable. And he kind of looks at the group. Most of you aren't from around here." And he kind of a small smile hits the corner of his lips.
course.
But for your benefit, this nation was founded between two separate kingdoms, an elven and a dwarven one, hence the two royal families. They were unified 4,000 years ago when they were threatened by a large orc tribe that lived in the western side of what is now the western side of the kingdom. They came to take over this section of the land as it was much more lush and fertile and, better for crops. And supposedly, the ancient nations were able to bind their magics together and create some magical construction that was able to defend them from overbearing odds. My goal is to reuse the same construction to save us from the overbearing odds that we are currently facing. With Doln's advanced military technology, their larger forces, and all of the allies that they have pulled across the years, it's the only way I could believe us actually surviving a military conflict with them.
Or what if we just get all the the rampaging orcs and goblins and whatever attacked you before to come back, and then you have to unify again? Easy peasy.
No native tribes have been seen in the generations since the unification.
Dang. It was a good idea, too.
He chuckles. Till, actually, one of your original reasons for coming to this nation was actually rumors of this said device. You were heading here to hopefully find something to, study. But since you've been here, you haven't heard hide nor hair of it. It's just been a legend.
Well, then maybe he doesn't have to pay me. I will kind of like pause and think about it for a moment, and then I'll ask him. So, where do we get this device? Is it hidden away somewhere? Or do you have it in the keep here, or do we have to go find it?
Well, the royal families have spent a long time making this device and this story something of legend, suppressing any real information about it over the years. But seeing as I need your help, and it's the only thing that we can really use to save us, and he kind of like eyeballs Luny, the familial ties and contractual obligations associated with such, I feel safe showing this to you.
I'm just like sitting behind Fen doing like the mime thing with the mouth, like my hand as a mouth, like slightly.
He steps off the throne and walks behind the two thrones into a wall panel, mutters something under his breath while tracing his fingers on the stonework, and oh god, I have to be in build mode for that, sorry. The wall panel opens up, and there is a staircase leading down behind him.
Does it like fall down on the floor, or kind of like vanish, or like?
It definitely seems like a physical contraption. Like it like falls into the floor, I'm gonna say. All right, and with that, I did not build this the most eloquently, so I'm gonna transport your minis to the other room real quick. All right, so he brings you down into what seems to be an ancient part of the castle. And in front of you is a large, what seems to be some kind of old Magitech contraption. There are pipes leading from ceiling to floor, through it, in and out of the walls, some large, almost large enough to crawl through. And what seems to be a door with a heavy key slot in it directly in the center. The king waves his hand towards it and looks back at you while he says, "This is what we know as the Alchemy Forge."
Title drop.
Yeah,
He said
title
the
draft of the
thing.
campaign. Roll the credits.
That's
says,
very cool.
legends have it that they used this contraption to not only defend the city, but construct weapons, armor, and an army to defend it with. Not in all of the generations since have we been able to find a way to reactivate it. Supposedly, back in the War of the Conflagration that created the Plane-Touched lands, a group attempted to reactivate it and were destroyed in doing so.
Well, that's not so great.
With this, Luny's actually gonna like come out, like look at it. It seemed like one of the things that her father had written about, and had like gone searching for and everything.
That is definitely it. This is definitely what your father had written about. Same name, same everything. You're unsure exactly why your cousin had kept this information from him previously, but this is definitely what he was looking for.
Till will walk up and have Gary hop off to inspect it and run around it a little bit, touch it, make sure nothing explodes.
All right, roll a. Let's just do a proficiency check, just D20 plus proficiency.
That's in that one.
Yeah, you look at this thing, and in your training and everything, you focused on like the newest, latest, and greatest. So you look at this thing, and you're like, "This shit's old." That's the most information you get out of it.
Yeah, it seems pretty old, guys.
Till, is
You're
that
welcome.
actually the Alchemy Forge?
Maybe.
It is definitely the Alchemy Forge. There is no lie there.
Yep, I knew that. It's definitely the Alchemy Forge, 100%. No doubt about it.
The king kind of like looks at Looney and raises an eyebrow. It's like, "Oh, did you share the same interest that your father did? Have you studied what you can find on this thing?"
I took a passing interest in his notes when I found them.
So you might know a bit about this. Would you like to enlighten everyone on what the notes had said?
Paul's gonna just kind of look back and forth and like, you guys seem very familiar with each other.
The king smiles at Vol and says, "Well, of course. She's my cousin."
Wait, hold up, what?
Damn.
You
You're
didn't
saying you could
to
have
do
funded the ship the whole time?
that. To be fair, I did fund things. I just didn't want to tap into this money.
Oh my god, it could have been so much easier.
No, it would not have been easier.
Well, that
Says someone who's been used to money their whole life.
Ooh.
That is less true than you know.
Well, Looney, you could have come and stayed at the palace at any time. Even your friends could have stayed here. Maybe we could have avoided this whole situation if you weren't so distant from the side of the family.
Hey.
I'm
Don't
gonna
blame
butt in and
Luny
be
for
like, I have my own house things.
I
Yeah.
don't know if anything would have stopped it, since basically the first night we were here, this came up. We hadn't even gotten to the inn yet. So I think all in all, this would have still happened.
And without our intervention, you would have had, forces from a rival kingdom invading your lands without your knowledge anyway. So I think either way, they were going to be invading you and interfering with your kingdom with or without the declaration of war that followed our intervention. So
That's fair. But I guess fate does have interesting ways of bringing people back together. Which, speaking of fate, is one of the reasons I am asking you all about this this task. So, about 500 years ago, when the War of Conflagration happened, how I said that the people attempted to reopen the Alchemy Forge to use it to stop the war. That group was the previous group of Red Arms. And I decided to not avoid fate's touches with the fact that the Red Arms seem to have recreated themselves right at a time where it might be needed. So I'm hoping to ask you all to possibly help me get this thing back open and hopefully save this city from the war that's about to start.
Definitely
Well-
something I was looking to stop.
Maybe
Do we
that's-
have any safety procedures that are going to stop us from dying and attempting to reactivate this? You know, any ideas there, or are you just planning on throwing us into whatever might kill us and hope for the best?
Well,
I mean, we always seem to die. Or not to die. Put ourselves in situations where we could die.
Don't worry, Till. You won't die.
well, I do. Was it? Sorry, I cannot say that it will be safe, but the reason that the previous group of Red Arms did not do so well in this situation is because we ran out of time. From all of the letters I've been able to procure and the notes, it seems like they were in search of an artifact, a piece of the original Alchemy Forged, only marked as the key, that was actually hidden away after it was used the first time. The reason they tried to break open the Alchemy Forge is they were unable to obtain it at the time and ran out of time and attempted to open it early. And the backlash was not pleasant.
I'm gonna walk up to the door.
Yeah. It wasn't pleasant.
Look at it
Like-
and be like,
The last city that was here, that everything's built on.
Well, the city was mostly unharmed during that incident, but everyone who was in this room was affected by a magical backlash. As they were able to partially open the door, the energy that flowed out instantly vaporized everyone who was standing in the way.
I'm gonna back away from the door.
Vol's just gonna be like, yeah, I can't heal vapor.
So from everything I've been able to see in all of the ancient diagrams, this key is meant as a failsafe. It is able to shut down the machine before it is opened, so it should be safe to operate. Supposedly, the key itself is what it needs to use to actually control the device.
Interesting.
And we don't have the key.
That is where things get difficult. In the ancient texts and the maps that we have been able to find that show the hiding place of the key when they removed it 4,000 years ago, it was placed in an ancient cathedral with a Colosseum built atop it that is now in the Kingdom of Dolm.
Oh.
I'm sure we could sneak in there.
That is what I'm hoping. I would hope that with the fame of the Red Arms, you guys might be able to get into the kingdom without too much of a stir, and possibly find a way into the ruins beneath the Colosseum and procure the key so that we may reactivate the forge.
That shouldn't be
You
too
know,
hard.
I might be wrong, but isn't our fame now associated with starting a war with that but very specific nation? Wouldn't they
Yeah.
hate us a lot?
But do they know what we look like?
They most likely don't know exactly who did this. They just know it happened in this country.
Yeah, and if we're not in the country, it couldn't be us.
So with that being said, the letter that was found at the front steps did mention you. But
Yeah, it
the
was
moment
directly
this
addressed.
happened, we shut down all of the ports and have had a very strict coastal guard. With luck, whoever actually sent that note has not made it out of the nation yet.
Interesting. I'm gonna kind of get close to Vol and whisper under my breath. So, what do you want to do about the prince?
He can help us get into his own country pretty easily.
But would he?
That's true. Unless he wants more bullet holes, he will.
I mean, technically, with Vol's help, he doesn't have any to begin with, or at least not anymore.
Well, we found out his one secret, so now we know. Why he wouldn't talk.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna turn to the king. Okay, let's talk compensation.
Well, I mean, saving my nation from a possibly disastrous conflict, I can give you nearly anything you would want. He kind of like puts his hands up, within reason. I'm
Well,
sure
like
that
wine?
land, titles, monetary value, anything, honestly. And with the fame of the Red Arms, anything I gift to you will only reflect well on my own nation. I believe it's a win-win situation.
Oh, sounds good to me. A kingdom in debt? I like it.
He kind of spins and turns to the group again. So, you will do this for us?
I mean, what choice do we really have?
We have plenty of choice. We could walk away if we want to, for sure.
Oh, yes. Yes, that's definitely something you could try to do.
I think that this is why Baba Dia sent me out, so I'm in.
Ben?
Yeah, I'm down for whatever. I don't really have anything else really going on.
It's a Tuesday.
I'm kind of bored, so...
Y'all are my only friends, so...
Aww.
Aw.
Shrug.
Oh, you should set your aim.
Gary
higher.
will rub up against Fenn's leg. Alright, well, sounds like we're doing it.
He nods. Well, I am in all of your debt. If there's anything you need preparations-wise, please just send a missive to the castle, and I will I'll see what I can do.
Till is gonna take a minute to like scribble down a note, and then he's gonna hand it to the king, and it's gonna say gunpowder times 100.
100 what?
Yes.
He's
No, it
just
says
gonna,
right there. Gunpowder, lots of it, 100 of it.
he just kind of like tilts his head.
We need gunpowder stores for the airship, is what he's saying.
Because you utilized it in your previous excursion. I take it.
Yes.
Maybe, possibly, or there's an explosion, and we just happen to lose our gunpowder, and the resulting chaos. Who knows?
He shrugs and says, well, I guess that explains a few things of the reports I've heard.
We take no responsibility for any property damage made on our adventures.
Oh, no worries. The damage out there is not quite what I was worried about, but I guess there aren't much other choices. I will see what I can procure. Do you have a dockmaster that you are working with?
What was his name? Cam?
I'm gonna just
or-
gesture towards
Cav.
Till.
Well, Cav was our you're looking for Cav. He's our quartermaster. He'll take care of everything needed. He'll always be at the ship. So send it to
Alright.
him.
All right, I will send a man down that way and see what we can work out.
Okay, well, let's get started. Where to?
Well, I'm gonna get away from the vaporized ore, so...
Vol's gonna do like a curtsy and like a bow, and then be like, Sir King, Mr. Lordship, and then walk away.
I'll
He
just give the
nods.
king a nod and walk away.
As you guys all walk away, he's going to kind of like lock eyes with Luny and kind of like hold one finger up and walk up to her and says, "You know you don't have to hide from the family."
I don't have to, but you know I don't love the way that we must engage in front of people.
He shakes his head. "That's all pageantry. It's a necessity of the times, you could say. But if you would like to spend some time at the castle, I would not be adverse to spending time with my cousin. I don't see much of the family anymore, despite, mother and the other immediate family, but they all have duties, and it's almost, I guess it's more of part of the job, dealing with them. Dealing with extended family in a more casual setting. I feel like it'll be good for all of us. Just try to spend some time before you leave."
I'll see what I can do, but first I have important people to meet.
He nods, says, I understand. And then he kind of like,
Fate of the country and all that. And with that, I just give him a smirk and walk out.
and he follows. All right, so once everyone is back up and the king turns around and he reseals the entrance to the underground chamber and looks back at you all and says, well, I hope it is understood that we must keep what we have discussed down there private, to say the least.
Yeah,
shrugs
nothing
and,
to
like,
worry about there.
Talking about.
Down where?
You know, down in the Alchemy Forge.
No, I was trying to. Never mind.
Just gonna start walking away.
The king just kind of like shakes his head and just mutters a few things under his breath as you guys all leave.
Wow, King, what a great collection of silverware you had back there.
Yeah, silverware.
Oh, good, we can make it out of the door.
Just have to jump over it real quick.
Right?
Quick leap.
You're doing a good job, soldier. Keep it up.
Alright, give me 1 second as I drop down a mini real quick.
These stairs are
It's a
infuriating.
dragon.
And as you walk outside, you're attacked by a dragon.
I mean, why worry about a war when there's a dragon?
Exactly.
Right, Fenrick, go ahead and roll a dex save.
wait, okay, hold on. That's a 5. I trip over this motherfucker.
So as you guys are exiting the castle, you hear a little bit of a commotion outside as the guards seem to be arguing with someone. But before you quite get there and see the commotion, a commotion behind you happens as Fenrick just trips over the corpse that is still yet to have been moved from the front steps and just falls down the marble steps.
Fall's gonna turn around and be like, Fenrick, that's an active investigation. Knock it off.
I'm doing my best. My feet are too big. Tiny little steps.
Instead of reaching down a hand to help Fen up, I'll just lean down a little bit so Fen can use my shoulder as a way to get back up. Because I'm way too short.
I'll do so. Knock you down in the process.
Just pull it, push him into the ground. Till just like planted into the ground. Like a tulip.
Like a tulip. Wow.
Beautiful alliteration there. All right, so you guys do see the source of the commotion in front, though, is you guys see a familiar face arguing with the guards at the front of the palace. It is a large bear folk that you met at the previous night at the bar.
Oh, hey, what's up, Alky?
His head whips up and turns to you guys, then turns back to the guard and says, "See, I told you I knew them. I was here to bring a message. You guys didn't believe me."
He's with the enemy. Nah, I'm just kidding.
Why wouldn't you believe this upstanding gentleman?
Mr. Mist.
Alki nods at you all, and kind of like the guard stammers, says, "Well, we had to lock down the area. Even if he was here to bring a letter, we weren't supposed to allow anyone in."
You know, frankly, stopping a person because they look like a bear is just profiling, and you all should be embarrassed.
Well, it has nothing to do with that. We weren't supposed to allow anyone in.
Well, don't let it happen again.
His lips like turn into a thin line as he scowls at you, but doesn't say anything else.
Yeah, I have no authority to tell this guy what to do. So.
It's like, Till, you're gonna just make trouble for yourself later on.
Later on.
Since when do I not?
That's the way he likes it.
Yeah, that's just my way to do. So, Alki, what's up?
He walks up to you guys and shakes all your hands again and says, "Well, good meeting you guys. Gavin received a letter that was, for you guys and wanted someone to bring it up to the castle. So I knew the way and thought I'd help out." He hands a letter off to Till.
I'll take it. Does this mean you're joining us on our crew? Have you reconsidered our offer?
Well, as I sobered up and thought about it across the morning, I'm thinking, I've got no prior obligations. It might be fun to travel with you guys for a bit.
I will say that our financial abilities have significantly increased within the past hour, so we can pretty much pay you anything you want.
His eyes widen a little bit. He's like, well, I didn't quite expect that good of an offer, but I'll accept. And he reaches his hand out to, shake on it.
I'll pat his hand.
He looks a little disappointed, but nods.
I'm just gonna hug him.
Feels uncomfortable getting into binding agreements.
He gives you a bear hug back.
A
Alchemist has joined your party. Dun 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 dun.
Till will continue to open the letter and start reading it, and we'll just read it aloud so the whole group can hear it. What does it say?
It's just a quick letter from Swifty Taylor saying that your guys' order is ready in the market district.
Oh, awesome. New clothes. Let's go.
All right. So if everyone wants to hit the bookmark on Altera buildings for the tailor shop.
I like how it's Taylor's shop, not the tailor shop, because it's Swifty Taylor.
Yeah. Sorry, placing minis and such.
Not Taylor Swift, Swifty Taylor.
Yeah, I don't know why anyone would get that confused.
Yeah, that's a very clear name.
Totally different.
I don't know if he was actually a Swift Taylor.
Yeah, it took a while.
It took him 3 days, 4 days.
Honestly, I'm tempted to get my money back, you know what I mean?
Dang, them alterations.
I mean,
And
4
how long
days for whole ass outfits. That's a pretty good time period.
Well, you have to understand that Till is used to very quick outfits. It does not take nearly as much material or time to make an outfit for a gnome.
I don't know.
I'm pretty sure my guy doesn't even have a sewing
now.
machine.
You are wearing at least 3 layers plus armor right now.
That's true.
Swift outfits. Psh.
Well, Who
Goddamn,
wants
does
to
my
know?
guy even have a sewing machine? It's all by hand.
All right. So you guys, as you come up to the shop, hear some elevated voices inside, seeming to be arguing about something.
Vol will take the lead on this because he doesn't want Till to.
All right. As you open the door, you see Swifty Taylor standing by the counter with a dwarf, a short, seemingly unkempt dwarf. It seems every inch of his clothes has some kind of burnt leather or soot on it, and they seem to be in a very heated discussion, let's say, about their properties. The dwarf says, I don't give a rat's ass about what you think about my property. It's gonna look how I want it. That is some live stone that I cut out of these ancient catacombs and stacked together by hand. And Swifty Tail was like, Sir, it looks like a pile of rocks. Do you understand the property value of the area that you have moved into? This building that we are in currently outdates yours by centuries.
Oh God, it's a fantasy HOA.
Nothing fantasy about that.
The argument continues as you guys come in, talking about how much of an eyesore the man's forge is, and how he's been putting up with it for decades. And if he's not even willing to wash the stone walls, he should pack it up and leave.
Yeah, Vol's just gonna walk up and be like, you guys doing okay in here? You guys gonna kind of bring it down a notch?
Swifty Taylor seems to have just noticed you and goes red flush with embarrassment. Says, "Oh, I am so sorry, honored guests," and he gives you a deep bow. And of course, Miss Silvertune here. It is very unseemly for me to be in this kind of situation. Please. And he looks at the short dwarf and says, "I have honored guests to be dealing with," and kind of like moves his hands to like shoo him off.
Oh, hey, don't shoo him off. That's rude.
Yeah, the dwarf looks at him and says, "Yeah, you need to learn to respect your elders. I'm old enough to have been changing your grandpa's nappies."
Yeah. Us short folk gotta stick together, right, buddy?
Right. And he just like not even looking at you, does not even acknowledge like that he doesn't know you yet, just puts his arm around you and is just like, yeah.
That's so.
Till, where did you go?
Till teleported.
Till vanished. Got caught by
walked
the
into
Alchemy
the carpet
Forge.
and then just left. I don't know.
Oh, wait, give me 1
I
second.
think you're on the roof, maybe.
Oh, no, there is a,
Oh, the invincible block.
yeah, there's a hide volume there. There we go. Welcome back, Till. Let me, adjust these hide volumes so we don't have any more, disappearances.
For some reason, I still don't see myself.
Is everyone else able to see him?
I can't see him.
Give me 1 moment.
I activated the Swifty Taylor trap.
Here, everyone just, ignore the floating lantern there. Now we can see the lantern, but not Till. Till, go ahead and try moving real quick.
I'm back.
There we go. All right. Anyway, so he puts his arm around you and says, "Yeah, us short folk gotta stick together." And he kind of like looks down at you and says, "What was your name again?"
Till.
Oh,
Yours?
okay. My name's Morden. Forge
Nice to meet
Master.
you.
And he shakes your
Oh,
hand. Oh,
Nice.
that's a nice hand you got there. And he starts picking up your prosthetic. Oh, there's that new Magitech stuff. I don't really know much about it, but it's good metalwork.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. I like this guy.
It seems like Morden has completely forgotten that everyone else is there.
If you're getting harassed a lot by your neighbors, you can come work on our ship instead. I'm sure we can get you a setup going.
He smiles like, "Nah, this is the fun part of the day, but don't tell him that."
It's that burning passion between the two of them. The rivalry.
There is definitely some kind of tension here that could be going on.
I think the thing rising here mainly is Swifty Taylor's blood pressure.
The blood pressure to what?
I don't know what you guys are talking about.
So Morden continues to talk about your hand and the different like alloys and stuff like that. And Swifty Taylor just like rolls his eyes and looks at the rest of the party and says, "So, I did send out a message saying that your orders were ready. Is that what you're here about?
Vols is like, yep. Just gonna ignore everything else. That's what we're here for.
Just give me one moment as he goes back to the wardrobe, grabs the new sets of clothes, and brings it over to you. Hands them all out to each individual person and says, well, it has been a pleasure working for you all, my esteemed guests. And then he kind of like, almost like raises his eyebrow at Till, but like looks back at you guys. I would be honored if you guys would work with me again. Anything you need, just send a missive.
I will be sure to do so. Your work is always lovely, as far as I've seen.
I don't know. I'm not coming back until this guy promises to treat his neighbors a little better. That's just me, though.
I'm gonna walk up to the
It's very
blacksmith
good
for a
that
second
you didn't
and
go.
sorry, I was gonna walk up to the blacksmith. You can continue with your conversation though.
Oh, it's very good that you didn't pay for this transaction then.
Well, I mean, I could now.
Oh.
He's like, oh, well, no worries. It's always an honor to even work for one of the Red Arm associates. Morden, while talking with Till, sees Fen walk up, and he reaches his hand out to shake your hand, and then immediately as you...
I was gonna reach my hand out and be like, hey, I have this thing stuck in my gauntlet. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, he seems to get completely distracted once you reach your hand out, and that section of blade is still stuck in there. And he, grabs your hand and pulls it close, and he says, "Oh no, this poor baby. Oh, here, come with me. This is important." And he, much stronger than you would assume with your height difference, practically yanks you out of the tailor shop right between the other conversation, and leads you across the street.
Bye, Finn.
Vol will nod. I'm like, I'm gonna go try this on. Thank you.
Swifty Taylor looks at Luny and says, did you need anything else, ma'am?
I don't believe so right now. But I thank you for having these ready, as we're going to meet an associate tonight, so have a good day.
Of course, and hopefully we meet under easier circumstances next.
It's always fun. At least it was us and not some of your other clientele.
He nods. So as you guys are led across the way towards the forge, you guys see the eyesore that Swifty Taylor was talking about.
I know you're talking about it. It's beautiful.
This forge literally looks like a stack of slabs of stone. It is 4 large slabs, one with a hole cut in it, and then a 5th on top to cap it off. It looks like rough cut stone, not a single bit of, sanding, chiseling, artwork, nothing. This thing looks like it was pulled straight off a cliff face and dropped right in town.
It's a very interesting building you got here.
I built it myself.
Could tell.
Foles is like, looks sturdy.
Not even a dragon could take this down if it was determined.
Oh, have you tested that?
Not yet. Haven't pissed off many dragons the past few years. But,
There are a lot of dragons in this town, and a lot of people keep talking about that.
Not for the past couple hundred years that I'm aware of.
Any dungeons? Like Dungeons and Dragons? No?
Just a little board game some of the kiddies play.
Hmm. I'm done.
So once you guys enter, you see that one whole wall is taken up by a large forge with just this blazing heat coming out of it, and a work table across from it. Other than that, it seems like the furnishings are quite sparse. Morden continues with your hand and brings you over towards the forge. Fenrick says, "So, do you know what you got here there, buddy?"
Part of a sword in my hand.
Ah, you're partially correct there. It's a piece of a halberd. Something a little bit more than that. This was a piece of a dwarf's life work. You know, something that he made. Like, there's a myth that every dwarf will create one thing in their life that will surpass all others that he will ever create. And he will always have a longing to create something as good. And this is one of those pieces. I could recognize dwarven make from, miles away. But this one is special. This is part of the Atlas halberd.
What's that?
It's a relic. Supposedly, when it was created, the dwarf, an ancient forge master, sealed away a piece of his own soul in it. When he realized what he was creating, he wanted to go beyond, a life's work of his own, and make something that would stand the test of time. It's gone hand from hand to many duelists over the years, but people have lost track of it over the past couple hundred years. It seems like you seem to have found it in... And then he kind of sniffles a little bit, almost tearfully, and says, "In unfortunate circumstances."
I'm gonna take my backpack off and rummage through it to find the rest of the sword that I had put in my backpack.
I think Vol had some, and so you can come up and be like, I found some wooden parts on the beach.
Aye, that's helpful. The wooden haft may have been changed over the years, but anything that has lasted with this weapon's got to have some of its energy with it. And he kind of takes the wooden pieces together and kind of like points at your gauntlet and says, "May I?"
I'm gonna take it off and hand it to him.
He starts looking over it and says, "Well, it's definitely part of the Atlas halberd." He kind of looks up at you and says, Would you permit me to try to work on this? Get it back into fighting shape? It's so sad seeing it like this."
Yeah, I don't see why not. It just kind of broke off into my hand at some point, I guess.
It broke off in your hand? Oh, you're gonna have to tell me the story of that one.
I will. At another time.
I mean, why not right now? We have plenty of time.
He chuckles. Ah,
Well,
of
you
course.
see a
Always could
halberd
use some
hit the hand.
entertainment.
I guess I'll regale the story, leaving out some crucial details of princelings.
As you tell the story, he continues to pester you with questions in the middle of it, asking about various weapons that the enemies were using, and more details about the Atlas halberd that Fenrick was wielding, and such. During this time, he is working at prying the blade out of your gauntlet, looking it over, making sure that all the pieces are there. And by the end of the story, he has the whole blade laid out on the table. Obviously shattered in multiple pieces, but kind of laid out how it originally was. And he looks up at you and says, "So, I've got a couple things I can do here. I can reforge it back into its original shape, or, looking at your gauntlets, looks like you're not much for handheld weapons now, are you?"
Not particularly.
Well, I can't see the point in reforging it into, a shape that it would just sit on someone's wall as a decoration. That's just not right. How about I do something custom with it? Reshape it into these flanges you have on your gauntlet. Take the blade, reforge it into usable pieces, and reattach them back on. Is that something that you'd be willing to do?
Yeah, I don't see why not.
I like this one. kind of
Give you creative freedom.
it's an honor to work on a dwarf's life work like this. I cannot wait to get in on this one. And he starts like, pulling out a couple pieces of steel and walking over to the bench and laying them out, and just starts like, jotting things down on a piece of paper with a piece of charcoal and like looking over the pieces, and really starts getting down into work. And then he stops and he looks back at you guys and says, "Oh, sorry, forgot you were there. Bad host of mine." And he kind of like looks back at the rest of the group. Would you like some tea? Ale?
Water?
He kind of like looks over at the quenching barrel. Not sure if that one's fit to drink.
Tea sounds good to me.
He kind of wanders over and starts rummaging through the chest over here next to the desk, and kind of like pulls out various boxes and stuff. He says, "So, what are the rest of y'all? What are some stories the rest of y'all have? I mean, looking at y'all, I think you're that new Red Arm group that's been walking around, right?"
Maybe. Possibly.
I'm sure you guys have some interesting stories.
I mean, together for the most part, what we've done has been told. We did make our way across the plains not too long ago. That was fun.
Oh yeah, that was a nice jaunt through some plain touch lands.
Yeah, we killed a big bone monster.
You're gonna have to tell me more about that.
Well, he was a big bone monster, and we killed him.
Came out of the ground. It was nasty.
He was grabbing us through the swampy texture, whatever the heck it was. Not quite swamp. Plain touch lands. It's weird out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't
Then we
recommend-
found some elementals, and then they were interesting and totally didn't attack us, but we wanted to attack them, and then we didn't, and now they were friends with us.
So
Basics.
as you're going through with this, he ends up pulling out a few chipped old teacups and an old tea kettle. He pulls out what seems to be a sealed corked bottle, pours it into the kettle, and then comes over here and sets it above the fire. He's like, all right. Seems like an exciting bit, taking the light of going past them plain touched lands. Now let's get on to the more interesting stuff. Tell me about your weapons.
If no one
Please go
steps
ahead.
up,
Go ahead.
I'll go first.
I see.
Till walks up and eagerly takes out his rifle and lays it in front of him. Says, "Well, this is a personal make of mine. It doesn't just fire rounds; it actually will fire elemental shots depending on how you configure it, and it links directly with my gauntlet here. It's actually really cool." And then he just kind of like goes on for like another 2 or 3 minutes, going through all the details of all the workings of it, and just kind of doesn't really take any breaths as he keeps talking and talking and talking and talking, and then he's done.
Morden definitely nerds out with him, excited, talks about the metallurgy, and it's like, "Oh, this can handle the heat that you guys put through it," and various technical terms and such like that.
Mm-hmm.
And Bull's just like, you have a name for that?
No.
Full strikes again.
For my weapon? Why
For
don't you name a weapon?
You wound me, sir. Every good weapon has a name and a story to it.
Well, you guys can name if you want. I just named my cat here. Because it actually seems sentient.
Well, I mean, Till, to be fair, with all of the workmanship that's gone into that gun, to give a weapon a name is to empower it, and for it to take on a life of its own eventually.
Well, maybe you guys can give it one. I'm too I'm not so creative. I'm more technical.
Morden pats you on the shoulder and says, you'll come around. Spend a few more years with that thing right there, and you'll be calling it by a name. That'll be your best friend.
I'll call it Shooty.
Gary with a
Beautiful.
Got Shooty and Gary.
Shooty.
Those are my two named objects.
Gary and also Gary.
Gary and more Gary.
Gary,
Or,
Gary too.
What was that other name? It's Hold on a second, let me get into the Chaotic Ordinary Discord real quick.
Gary and Garrick.
Bobby. To be used on any character without a name.
I'm fine with naming my gun Bobby.
Get him, Bobby.
Get him, Bobby. Alright, that's it. Gun's name is Bobby. Done.
Anytime you shoot and miss, you have to go, whoa!
Oh.
Damn it, Bobby.
Damn, that's what I was gonna go. Damn it, Bobby.
Vol's gonna pull the shield off of his back and kind of like just hold it up, and it's kind of a weird thing, mostly wrapped in cloth. It's like this is actually a condensed bone shield that has been passed down in families.
He kind of like looks over it and feels the bone. He says, now this thing seems sturdy. Most of the time when I see bone weaponry, it's more of a temporary fixture than much other. But if this thing's been passed down between your through your family, good craftsmanship. And he hands it back to you. Is that the only weapon you carry?
That's all I need. He just kind of like points to the corner of the large structure and just rings a bell over there from his cantrip.
He raises an eyebrow and says, not for the much for the magic myself, but I can appreciate the need of a defensive item when you're spitting and stammering at other people.
Vol just kind of looks over at Luny.
I guess that it's come to me, as I'm the only one left here who hasn't shared.
Show and tell.
Yeah, so I will pull my silver blade from its actually believe this one isn't silver.
Tell us the
I'll say-
history.
Oh, sorry. The ash this iteration of the ash heron is silver.
Yes. So yeah, I pull the silver rapier from my belt and I hand it over to him.
He eagerly goes up towards you to grab it out of your hands, almost reverently. He says, now this is a beauty. This is the ash heron. Where did you come by it?
I have my ways.
And he just he pets the blade and rubs his fingers over the pommel. He's like, do you know what this is?
It's my weapon, but it is also a legendary artifact, I do know.
Yes. This passed down from hand to hand on legendary warriors. This thing has some history to it. And he just is sitting there just petting the blade, just almost shaking a little bit. To see that I would see 2 legendary weapons in one day. This is the best week yet.
You should give it a little swish. A little flourish.
He looks at me and says, can I?
Of course. The smith of your talent, I would never keep it from you.
He takes a couple steps away to make sure he isn't in anyone's immediate vicinity before slashing it 3 or 4 times, creating the ash walls that hang in the air. His jaw just hangs open as he stares at it and just kind of lightly touches the ash in the air and gets it on his fingers and rubs it between his fingers.
Should we come back later?
It should be fine.
Well, it's just like, so that was a sword ability, not innately your ability. I see.
No, yes. My ability is the jumping that I do. The ash comes from the sword.
Excellent.
Morden walks over and very reverently hands the sword back to you as the kettle on the stove starts hissing. He walks over, pours what's almost seems like a deep golden liquid into the teacups he brought out earlier and hands out the tea to everyone. Sorry, pulling up some notes real quick. He's like, would you like to hear about the history of that weapon?
I know some of it, but yes, I would.
So, there was an ancient nation long ago that had 7 great swordsmen who all had different blades that were said to be sentient. There's been no evidence of that since, but the tales say that each one held the spirit of a magical creature within it, each a bird with its own temperament and abilities. After that nation fell, those swords have been strewn across the land, seemingly handed down hand to hand, from great sword master to disciple, year after year, as the swords have moved across the continent. Every few hundred years, some great hero turns up with one, and it is exciting to see the Ash Heron as it hasn't been seen in 500 years.
That is, I didn't think it had been gone that long.
Aye, the last person known to have it was a great adventurer, a dungeon delver of sorts that's always happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, overthrowing devil cults and such like that. Seems like fate would rather him be a hero whether he liked it or not.
Sounds like someone I might get along with.
Aye, I think you would. Now, anyway, I shouldn't keep you guys any longer. I've got work to do, and I'm sure you all have your own business. It was good meeting with you, though. And he nods over to Fenrick, says, give me a couple days, and I'll have those new gauntlets forged for you.
I have complete faith in you. I'm gonna walk away.
I'll give him a pat on the shoulder before walking away.
He says, all right, good meeting you all. And he kind of waves to y'all.
Oh. Paul's also gonna just wander off.